Let's fix our mixin and get done with the register class with adding the final 4 classes on the client. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. In previous episode, I told you that this part needs mixin. Now, I'm not gonna teach you mixin right now. We have plans for this in future. However, right now I'm migrating my library and then we will migrate our main mod into MojMap. So the focus here is to convert yarn to MojMap. As always, Mixin needs your glibs register mixins.json. It's there. This is the name of the class and this is the class. However, now we need to resync the Gradle first. We have the Mixin there, but the Mixin class has problems. Let's open the Mixin class and take a look. Very first thing, if I middle mouse click on this block entity type accessor, because this is what we were mixing into, we see that it comes from Fabric API and it looks like they have finished their MojMap transition. Honestly, some people said that Fabric API is almost done translating to MojMap, and we see that we don't have block entity type class. So if we want to, we can do this. Let's take a look. It's mixing to block entity type. Well, we were trying to do the same thing. However, let's remove the imports, let it do its thing, then this one needs to be the Mojang block, and here we have problems with accessor block thing. Okay, let's take a look at how did they do that. They are accessors for valid blocks. So let's change that name, let's change that name, and it's done. Bingo. So this time it was easy because, well, I was mixing into Fabric API's mixin. So the changes in Fabric API mixin was more than enough for me to follow up and do the things. However, if you are doing mixin and you get confused on things like this accessor thing, Fabric Discord actually has a very good dedicated channel for mixing, and people who are talking and helping others there are really professional when it comes to mixing. So even now when I do something in mixing and I want to make sure that I'm not derping or doing anything harmful, I will definitely go into that channel and I will give the link to the mixing class inside a repository, and I ask people, did I do this correct? And make sure that you explain the thing. I want this behavior or I want that behavior. I want this to happen. Is my mixing okay? Can it be harmful? Is it doing the thing or does it need to change? And people will definitely help you there. Okay, what you saw right now shows us that honestly, mixins are not that bad. Yes, it's not behaving right now. I think I need to resync the Gradle. Let's do that. And as it's doing its job, it looks like transiting from Yarn to MojMap shouldn't affect many much of our projects because let's face it, we are not changing the functionality or chain of commands or how we do the method calls. The only thing that is changed are the names. For example, inside that accessor or inside this thing, maybe set blocks is not there anymore in the accessor. However, I did it so it should be there. If it's not showing up, let's take a look. I have set blocks, I have get blocks. So what's going on here is that in the imports, it's getting this block entity type accessor from Fabric Mixin, and I have mine, so it's getting confused and says, hey, the one coming from Fabric API does not actually provide the set blocks. I have 2 options here, changing the name of this guy or having my own thing, or delete the import and select the proper import. Now the thing is that there is a reason I use the same name here. I'm mimicking Turtiworty, and there is a reason that Turtiworty used the exact same name here, I think, is to make sure that this cast works in combination with Fabric API. I think that's the case. If that is not the case, then we need to sit back and think about this, because honestly I don't like this naming. And provided we are mixing into this class, we are injecting our interface there, and this is another interface compared to what the Fabric API has, you know what? Let's rename it. As I said, this is a perfect time to do these sort of shenanigans, and let's call it GBE. Let's shorten it. GBE type accessor. And I need to make sure that you are changed, and I need to make sure that this guy is changed. Cool. And here I will do this, and immediately the error is solved. And now on top, we have one unused import. So now we don't get any confusion between the namings of Fabric API and ours, and that is our Mixin. So the last thing is that I have 4 different classes inside DataGen. Let's paste them. And I will start with the one that is mine for woodset, because this guy should actually work easier. Now I'm sure that this is a simple name change. It's inside block loot table generator. First of all, the block loot table generator became block loot sub provider. So let's fix that one. And then the name is just add. So add all of these. And as you see, we get tons of errors here. The reason is that I think here we shouldn't use the add, but something else. Let's see. What are we sending in here is a block, I think. Yes. So dot, we want a method that accepts a block as the parameter right from top. Here we go. Add. It asks for a block and a builder. Factory add nether. Create banner. We don't need banners. Okay, none of them. Then drop other. Now drop self. That's what we want. So we want to drop ourself, and in all of these, that's the drop self. So although the name was a little bit confusing, here is a judgment call, Okay, this one is the sign. Do we have drop sign or anything related to sign? Create sign. No, add is not working. Okay, so here we want to have 2 blocks. Okay, let's see. What do we have? Again, from top, it's a block and a builder. That's not one. Add nether wise. No. Okay, here we go. Create attached stem drops. No, that's a block. That's an item, but that's for stems. Actually, it should be the case because we are going for a wood and then no sign item. That's signs. Okay, let's take a look. I think it was drop other. The second one is the item. Drop other. Yeah, so when we break the sign, it drops the sign item. Makes sense. By the way, normally 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. This is a good time to hit that subscribe button. So as you see, a single method call was nicer on the API. But then here things are changed and we need to compensate for that. I would prefer to have drop or a single name for all of these. Slab drops became create a slab item table. Wow. Leaves drop, okay, create leaves drop, and block loot table generator became block loot sub provider, and sapling, I think, don't tell me. No, thank you. I thought about grower. Normal leaves sapling changes, and yes, has protected access. Yes, this is access wideners. We happily accept access wideners now. Okay, this one became block model generators, and these basically should be the name changes. For example, create block texture pool became wood provider, register tinted block and item, create tinted blah blah, textured model. Actually, it's textured model, so why are you yelling at me? It's the same thing, isn't it? Did you forget to import? Oh, what? No, wait. Why is it trying to call it complete with the whole address? I don't have textured model here, do I? Let's fix the imports. I'm derping. I totally forgot about my very first step. That's it. It automatically fixed itself. So these are name changes. Block estate model generator, for example, became block model generators. cross type became plant type. And I will not do the whole thing in front of the camera because that's just some copy pasting the names from Linky. I just finished this one. Register cube all model texture pool became family of wood planks, and family became, of course, generate for. Okay, so as you see, we are doing some name changes here and there, but the whole concept here doesn't change a thing. Only an axis widener. Again, in previous videos, I showed you that axis wideners are easy. Just middle mouse click on this guy, find it in the source, then here, right click, copy, AW entry. However, for axis wideners, we shouldn't have different axis wideners. We have only a single axis widener in the whole project, or a submodule. So we don't have a separated axis widener for client. For mixins, we can have, and we should have, split sources defines client mixins separated from main mixins. But axis wideners are a totally different story. You just add it to the axis widener on the resources folder and resync the Gradle, and it should solve this guy. And the rest are just, namespace changes. And the rest are just, again, name changes there. Let's check the other ones because armor model helper should all be the name changes again. Loot table helper should be the name changes, and model helper. Oh, I think here we will have one thing about axis wideners again. Anyways, let this guy finish its job and we will take a look at this. If it's just name changes and axis wideners, well, you already learned how to do that. Either the Loom tool can generate the sources for you, so at the end, you just have to go back and make sure that things like registries is not misbehaving. And other than those misbehavings, most of the time, things should work. Now, as you notice, I have lots of misleading imports because of the name changes on the packages. However, not in this case is being solved because most of these are texture map things, and texture map should have changed its name to texture slot. And instead of doing it like that, I will hit Ctrl R, and each instance of texture key, I will change it to texture slot and replace. And this one is create. You see, each time if the of is not working, I switch to create and it's working. And the rest should be honestly either the missing imports like blocks or name changes of the methods. And we already had seen all the shenanigans that we can do, like checking the param numbers, param types from Linky or from putting a dot in front of something, and we can fix that. The only thing that I wanted to show you is that our problem regarding the axis widener should be solved inside here. There we go. But now we have more things to do because, well, we are migrating. Now, here's the question. Wouldn't it be nicer if we could use the tools provided by Loom? Yes, it would be. It will drastically reduce my problems. However, my project is a very complex project, and because of axis wideners and I think especially axis wideners and maybe mixins, it did fail. So what can we do if you are not happy with this process of doing manual labor? Then you could copy paste your classes inside a temp project. Keep the project as you are, put the classes under main, all of them under main, and just run the tool, let it regenerate the code, and then go back and try to fix everything that you can. However, I'm not against doing some manual things like this, especially for two reasons. First, it helps me remember some namings. Not always. For example, this is something that I may never ever do again, and I will use my own API to register a wood. However, for example, that resources or resource key or registry key or registries, these are the things that I need to make sure that sticks to my brain from now on. And this manual labor thing helps a lot in that regard, However, if you don't like it, as I said, generate an empty project, keep it on Yarn, and like the first video, run the command over and over, and each time have some files there and let the translation tool translate them and go for the next ones. Actually, in the next video, I may show it for one single library, and that would be base, provided if I don't have anything else to do and go directly to the base. I think this is not that harmful because tick logic is my API, but for the base, I want to use that trick and see if things work or not. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.